Welcome, everyone. This is Pound of Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at latest in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week, I'm joined by Krister,
Hello.
Cinders,
Hello.
and Sanswinda.
Hello, everybody.
And this week, we had what is now being listed as a special Bulwark preview. This was special preview number 2 relating to the Garden of Corpses and the Sorceress. So they were testing those two sections again and trying to get the Garden of Corpses ready for when they decide to release it. They were originally planning on releasing Garden of Corpses for update 48.4, but it looks like it's not quite ready, and it looks like 48.4 is coming out next week. So rather than postpone 48.4, it looks like that they are going to release 48.4 without Garden Corpses, and then put Garden Corpses in a subsequent update. Whether that's going to be a 48.5 or part of update 49, I do not know yet. In any case, they were continuing to test the instance so that it will be ready when it does get released. And I would like to have so I could finally do what I think is the final piece that I know of in Mizadi's storyline. And of course, they're also testing the Sorceress, trying to get that ready. They say that they're planning on having that come out they say sometime during update 49, which means it might not be in 49, but might be, but it could be in 40.1, 41.2, 41.3, whatever, however, because they want to make sure that the new character is ready before she comes to corrupt everything that's in your area, I guess. So that's all that I know of that they were testing on Bulwer for this week, were those two items and emphasizing them. Now, they did note, though, that, as I said before, it looks like that 48.9 is coming out next week. And the reason why it's coming out for this week, I know of two things that are going to be part of that. One of them is that's when we are going to get our next round of our legendary item reward track coming up. And so that means you only have a few more days left in order to claim those last few rewards in the legendary item rewards track. And I'm sure that if you want to get the Moomock at the end of the track, you will try to finish it by then.
Wait, there's a Moomock
Moomock,
at the
you
end
say?
of this track?
Yeah, I think it's. I can't remember what was it, a pink Moomock or something like that? Let me see.
I think so.
Oh my goodness, what are you talking about?
Pink Moomock?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Obviously,
You piqued everybody's interest.
Tell
Moomock
me
stands and I
more.
pink Moomock, then suddenly Cinder's
This is one of those, we should clearly look at the rewards track in more detail early in the season, Pine Leaf.
Yes, I really should. Yes, now that about there being a Moomock at the end of the track, I thought maybe I should have emphasized that a little bit more in there. I mean, even I forgot about it until yesterday when I was looking at the rewards. I said, okay, because I didn't quite do enough things that were going to be picking up points on it, so I only got about halfway through the track this time around. Yeah. But in any case, Angmar Mordor level 105 cap increase timing. Angmar Mordor will have their level caps increased to 105 on Wednesday, June 3rd, with the release of Update 48.4. With the release of Update 48.4, all 6 of the Ring Wraith enemies introduced so far will be available, so players can defeat them, any that they missed so far. The raid of Throne of Dread Terror will open on Angmar and Mordor at noon Eastern on June 11th. Now, this is I'm going to guess then. Actually, no. This has to be the last hurrah for the ring raids then, because they have to have something to replace them after when they go up to the next level after that, I presume, because at the end of the level 105 range, the ring raids go poof. So that's probably why they're doing this, is because lore-wise, they're going to have to do something. Either have the ring raids only appear in free 105 locations, or have a new monster that's going to replace the ring raids as the big baddie for the server. I guess they're thinking about that because they did do something for Morio where the ring raids were replaced with troll chieftains or something like that.
Maybe they'll have Ingrim sorceresses.
Sorceress.
Or angry statues
Or
of
angry.
the ring raids.
Okay, angry statues of the ring raids. Ooh, that's because you could just imagine all those guardian stones that were probably damaged during the fall of Mordor. So their corrupting
Totally. Yeah.
spirits could be bubbling around. A
And probably
possibility.
very mad for having been kept in statues for so long.
Yeah. And of course, they lash out their anger not at the ones who've been tormenting them for all these years, but at the nearest adventurer who happens to walk by.
I
Because
mean,
that's
in
where those
theory,
stories go.
they're probably taking out their anger at the nearest target in
Exactly.
general
Yes,
indiscriminately.
indiscriminate. We just happen to be a bubbling font of stir things up, and that's what triggers their escape.
Well, yeah, and we also happen to still be poking around while they're looking for things to smite, you know.
Yeah, I guess you get a point there. But anyway, so if you're playing on Angmar Mordor and want to finish up your, I presume there's a deed for taking out all six. How are they? Actually, I guess that is the question: is what about the last three ring raids? Because they said that only six have appeared so far. But if they want the other ring raids to appear at some point during the event, they're going to have to show up pretty quickly. Either that, or they'll be reserved for when Minas Morgul comes out, and you have that time in the past.
That does also
So,
have some potential. Yeah.
yeah, because that's one place where they can safely bring out the ring raids would be in that zone since it's obviously before it's before the first fall of Mordor, much less before the second fall of Mordor.
Right?
But anyway, so that means that we are going to have the update on March 3rd. I mean, not March 3rd, on June 3rd. On June 3rd, we are going to have that, and thus we are going to have legendary item reward track. I think will be updated as soon as the update loads in. So that means you will have to, before the system goes down on Wednesday, you're going to need to make sure you claim any rewards that you need to claim. And the other thing that you need is, well, be ready to face more ring raids, I guess, if you're on the Young Martin Mordor server. So, let's see what we got now. Yes, you are many dedicated VIP members of the Lord of the Rings Online. This is from Cordovan, the community manager. We know in these times of uncertainty that many of you are very carefully considering where to spend your money, and we are grateful for your continued patronage. For many years, we have worked to keep the price of our subscription unchanged from our launch in 2007. Keeping our memberships affordable has long been a priority for us and remains a priority for us in going forward. With many costs of our business having changed within the last few years, the time has come for us to update the pricing on our multi-month subscription packages. On July 1st, 2026, that will be a little bit more than a month from the recording of this episode. I guess it'll probably be 1 month after the posting of it, if it's posted on June 1st. We will be introducing an adjusted set of rates for 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month subscription plans. Our current 1-month subscription rate of $14.99 will not change. So all existing subscriptions from June 30th, 2026 or prior will continue their subscriptions at the existing rates, also known as grandfathered rate, until at least December 31st, 2027. So
Also note, the new rates are still cheaper than the month-to-month subscription.
if they weren't,
Just saying, the month-to-month didn't change. It's still $14.99. And the current, like the updated pricing is still cheaper than that. So you are still getting a good deal.
okay, so that
And
means
there's a whole like chart so you can see exactly what the prices will be too.
right. So on the 3-month subscription, the old rate was that it was $9.99 per. When you divide out the month per month effectively, while the new rate would be $13.99. Then on the 6-month subscription, the old rate was also $9.99, and the new one will be $12.99. And then on the 12-month plan, the old rate was $8.33 per month, while the new rate will be $11.99. So therefore, apparently, there used to not be a difference in the monthly rate between 3 and 6 months, but now there will be.
Yes, now you can get a better deal by going with 6 months.
I think some people will say it's a worse deal because they're having to pay more now.
Well, I mean, yes, but you get a cheaper rate than you do at the 3-month now
Yeah, true.
instead of the same rate.
Okay. Well, anyway, so therefore, just remember though, if you are an existing VIP member, you will have a year and a half before the rates will increase for you. The rates though will go up as of July 1st for any new subscriptions that come along on there. All right, so that is, well, I guess the most important news for that matter. So let's see what's going to happen on in the future then, that they're planning on Standstone Games. And first thing is that we have a casual stroll through World Design, a Q&A stream. Join Senior World Designer Scenario on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026 at 2 p.m. server time on Twitch TV/LOTRO stream for a casual stroll Q&A about world design. We're taking a break from in-world themes this month and taking destination requests for the settings in the stream. You got questions about how we bring Middle-earth's landscape to life, and we've got answers. And you can click on the link in Discord event in the stream and be notified when it begins. So that's our next casual stroll, which is going to be a Q&A stream for it. So if you had any specific world design questions you wanted to ask, then perhaps this is a good time to do it. And finally, there is going to be another meetup for Gen Con this year. Yes, we're excited to announce a meetup in Indianapolis, Indiana on July 31st during Gen Con. While we're not ready to announce the location, we are working to secure a Friday evening meetup downtown from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. We will provide RSVP details in this phase in the near future. You will need to RSVP in order to attend the meetup, but no Gen Con badge is necessary. We want to get this message out as soon as we can so you can plan your Gen Con experience and consider time with fellow Lord of the Rings online players and, of course, also DDO players also, because usually they combine the two together at the same meeting. So I will presume the same thing will happen in this case. Not that I plan to be anywhere within 100 miles of Indianapolis during the time of Gen Con.
Is that a conscious choice, or?
Well, to avoid the huge crowds that are going to be involved in Indianapolis during Gen Con. Less than
Who doesn't like huge crowds? What?
I can't believe it.
Okay. Let's then head into our store sales and centers. What's on sale this week?
Sorry. I'm muted. On sale this week, we have the following. This is your last weekend to get the Timeless Patrons Coffer of the Noldor that you can learn about on the LOTRO.com store through May 31st. So that would be tomorrow. If you're listening live, if you are not, you will probably miss this. You can also forge your own ring and get 25% off of Crafting Guild access, ingredient packs, crafting accelerators, rapid crafting, crafting tiers, and recipe books through June 4th. The weekly coupon is for a free universal morale potion times 5 with the coupon code Feeling Better through June 4th as well.
Feeling better. And let's head into our site news, where we have another installment of Sincerely Cinders, and it looks like you had a very nice time.
I did. Except for I chose to plant some of my plants right before we got that really awful heat that comes right before a thunderstorm, and they all wilted, and I'm waiting to see if they're going to recover. But everything was wilting. And then we did get a thunderstorm, but I will tell you all more about that later when we get down to my weekend gaming, because it had a big impact on my life this week.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, yeah. But I am this week hopefully going to have information for you all in the next installment of Sincerely Cinders with pictures of the seed markers and stuff that I'm making and those little fun things that I'm doing to help my garden grow.
Okay. All right, thank you, Cinders. So let's now head into our questions for the week, where we have some more player action questions. Sans, what's in store this week?
This week, we are revisiting some questions about your personal preferences. So, do you prefer to play solo or in a group?
In a group most of the time. There is some content that's better solo.
What content do you like to play best solo?
So if I'm going to do anything that has like a counter, that you have to like count down and click to get credit for, those ones are better done in a solo thing than in a group.
Yes,
That
the
makes
annoying
sense.
quests.
Yes. So like those things are better done solo than in a group. Things like deeding and stuff like that, it depends on your group. So like if you can run around with a hunter who can one-shot everything, like that's the way to go. Or a lore master that can like call down lightning and one-shot everything, that's the way to go. Is group content for that. And then, of course, anything that calls for a group, if you're doing it on level, makes sense to do with a group. But when I say solo, I still usually in voice chat with people. I'm very rarely truly solo, even if I'm not officially like grouped up for gameplay.
How about you, Krister?
I prefer grouping. And with LOTRO specifically, I'd showed up to LOTRO with my group of people I've been playing with EverQuest with, and we'd kind of hop from MMO to MMO. And so I was part of a group when we got here, and then everybody eventually left. But I still really liked LOTRO, so I ended up playing solo for quite a bit. And then I randomly met a guy in Prancing Pony who invited me into a raiding ken that was just getting started. And doing the group content opened up a whole new world. Doing the raiding opened up a whole new world, and I absolutely loved it. And so that's that's definitely my preference for Lotros, to do the raiding or group content and enjoying the camaraderie.
How about you, Pineleaf?
That's a difficult one. A couple of years ago, I probably would have just said solo to it, but I do have fun when I play with your cinders. So
Yeah, but you notice how he left me out? Did you guys notice that? I noticed that.
well, that's
I think
because
that's
you
because you
never
don't
show
show
up.
up very often.
What are you
You
implying
never
by
show
me?
up. That's why.
So you're on all of those invites, Krister. I can see them.
Yeah, usually I associate you with raids when I'm in raids, and so I those things that call for and require 6 players and raid level groups, that tends to be where I hit my limit on here. Especially the more recent dungeons where you need these super wonderful builds in order to have any hope of being
Yeah.
optimal, so to speak. So when it starts to get to that type of content, then I think, oh. So so we're depending on the content. Then I guess is sort of what we're talking about. It's like small fellowship and solo, duo, small fellowship content that I tend to enjoy. Things that maybe could work with small fellowship or 6 player level, maybe that's fine. But when we're talking about most recent instances with them, it's sort of like you think out in ESO, whenever people talk about the differences between base game instances in dungeons and these DLC
You'll
dungeons.
see. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I will say that it, it seems like that LOTRO ones have the same, even though they don't officially talk about the differences of dungeon. LOTRO very definitely has the same type of progression with their dungeons in there. Is that the later ones feel like vet DLC dungeons, while the older ones feel more casual and that can be done with a casual 6 player group, or more recent one. Though of course, since dungeons the way they scale in LOTRO, I think the scaling of level power is a bit stronger in LOTRO than it is in Ithorna or like that. So if you took a scalable dungeon, I feel like some of those things, they look like they were doable at the level where they originally were. Maybe it's because whatever the level cap was back then, I was maybe prepared for it or something like this. Saying, okay, I could do it down then, but now it feels like it's 2 times as hard when you have the level cap increase and you try now to do it at the new level cap. And I find that frustrating sometimes.
Fair.
So, so I prefer the smaller group size type content than is because of I don't have time to prepare raid ready powerful characters.
Makes sense. When you find a group, how do you prefer to find a group?
I look at the
Go Brandon.
I usually I think the group usually finds me. So you or Cinders says, "Hey, we have this coming along."
I was gonna say Discord and texting where I'm like, hey, who wants to hang out? I have found it to be highly effective. But it does help that most of my Discord connections were developed through LOTRO. So I know that we all play. Makes it much easier to find a group of people who play the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. I prefer to group with the people that I know through the CAN and various other enterprises.
Yeah, I see the LFF things, and sometimes I'm tempted, but not usually.
Yeah.
And usually I don't see them. But
Well,
on new characters is when I tend to be most tempted, especially on a new server. And then I remember I'm on a brand new character, and that's not going to happen anyway. And then I move them off the screen.
Yeah, my thing about LFF or something is like pickup groups is probably the same thing that we talked about earlier. Is if I'm worried about my abilities on doing certain content effectively, then the last thing I'm gonna do is go and join a pug and
That's true.
listen to them complain about my character not being up to par.
I think the best pug groups that I've found are the ones on landscape in a new area where you all have to kill the same things and people are just throwing out invites. Those have tended to work out pretty well for me.
Okay.
Especially if the things are dying pretty fast. I don't know in the newest areas if that's a big issue though. I think otherwise I've mostly find my groups in my kin, in one of my kins, when I don't know very many people, or on Discord now that I know more people. But when I asked this, I was a new shy player trying to figure out how to find a group for stuff that I wanted to do. And I was like, how do you do this? And I would suggest join a kinship. Most of the kinships have fun activities and they're friendly and very willing to help a new player figure out what's going on most of the time. And it's a lot more fun than pug group that then assumes that you know all the things and have all the gear and
that you have all this wonderful gear that they have, or the first thing they do is a gear check and then boot you as soon as
and then boot you without. Yeah. Yeah. That's never fun. What is your biggest pet peeve when you're soloing?
Not being able to do group content.
Not being able to kill things quickly.
You're a guardian, huh?
Well, that's what.
Or being too squishy and getting flattened repeatedly.
Well, fair.
Those are my
I know
pet
it
peeves.
took me a long time before I managed to get my warden to a point where I could survive solo content in Redline. And until this year, I have always done my soloing in Blue Line. And you can just imagine Blue Line Warden isn't exactly the greatest damage dealer in LOTRO. But this year, I finally got around to being able to do red line. Now, of course, the price I'm paying for that is I don't quite have my blue line equipment up to par, which probably tracks back to what I was saying about maybe that's why the content feels harder at this level cap than it was at the previous one, is because I got one character that's not who's 150, so therefore I'm a little bit squishier than before because I'm in red line. And if I switch to blue line, I'll be even slower than I was before because I've never managed to get my blue line finished.
Fair.
So yes, biggest one because probably is because it always felt like that I was doing less damage than just about anybody. Because as I said, I was doing blue line in there, and I remember back in, I believe it was at the Towers of Teeth.
Mhm.
Whereas under them, and that's when I learned that my warden was at one point was unable to clear out the camp because before I could never have all three of the mobs dead at the same time. One of them will respawn by the time I've killed the third one. And it was really, really annoying. And then a minstrel comes in here and one shots the whole set.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of like how Fed Few was like, okay, I could. I always felt like that I was never quite powerful in there.
I think my biggest pet peeve when I'm soloing is when I find a resource node or treasure chest that has like one thing in it and it's not even the main thing because somebody else looted it and didn't actually loot all of it.
And you went through a lot of trouble to get that thing?
I'm like, just take all of it so it respawns, please. Thank you.
Usually it means that they ran out of inventory space.
Well, fair.
I've been there, done that.
My solution when I'm out of inventory space and that happens to me is I pull one of the things off of my inventory and delete it so that I have space to finish taking things out. Well, now that I have the store in my pocket, I just sell it. But
Yeah, yeah. These it helps if you're VIP.
It does help if you're VIP.
Yeah,
but yeah, I definitely just vendor it. But before that was an option, I would pull something out, and even if it was just one of the adventure chests or something, and make space that way. What is your biggest pet peeve when you're in a group?
when someone, I guess it's when I'm in a group that's that I have the vibes is casual, and they decide, let's try the most difficult content that is in the game. What could go wrong? And we spend the next hour seeing what can go wrong.
My bad.
Pine Leaf's pet peeve: playing with cinders and
Skirmishing
sand.
irresponsibly.
You are nowhere near the worst offenders of that.
Oh, good.
I feel
I'm talking
better.
about six and 12 player instances is what I'm talking about here, and I rarely play 6 and 12 player instances with you two.
Though
Both
4
of us.
people is the perfect
is
number
true.
for 6 mins, I've been told.
Skirmishes, maybe.
No, never. Actually, it's like the worst number.
No,
But
it means
it's like the running joke on the academy.
If one of them is a LOTRO, if one of them is a lore master or a captain, because then you're really
It
5.
helps, but it doesn't actually make it up. But
Well,
we do like to tease Pine Leaf about this.
well, skirmishes, at least that's relatively predictable content. I just have to make sure that if we have only 4, that we choose skirmishes that are
Appropriate for that.
less stressful if played with only 4. I guess is probably the best way of wording it. I mean, going into and trying to run Doom of Chaos Galebrin with 4,
So, yeah.
and the Doom part should clue you in that it's not going to be easy.
So, did we do it with 4 or did we do it with 5 the time that we did it? With not enough people.
That's I'm trying to remember because
I think there were like 4 of us because we split off into 2 groups.
well, if we split, well, you mean when we come to the 3rd assault? Because yeah,
And it was me and one person, and then I thought it was like you and another person, but there might have been
it could be
5
that there
of
were
us.
5 or something like that. And that's probably one is having 2 people at one of the locations, only 2 people at one locations, it can be a bit tough in there because Doom Chaos Galebra, when you get to those later parts of it, they have the group split up, and if you have only 4, it's harder and harder in order to get enough people to cover every place, especially that final assault where you've got enemies coming in from 3 different locations. That means with only 4 people, you've got one place that can, where we're going to have one person covering each of the 3 locations and maybe a 4th one in the center trying to keep up with everybody else.
That was basically what we ended up doing because I wasn't killing anything quickly, and so like DPS was burning stuff down and then coming to wherever I was, which I think was the middle, and killing stuff. That way they didn't have to like run back and forth. I'm pretty sure I was the middle and just catching anything that got past because I could stay alive until you guys could turn on and come back in. But I don't, like I said, I don't remember. We might have had 5.
One possibility is that your main job was to keep them off of Kelly Brimbor.
Yep, that is probably exactly what I was doing.
Because I can understand it. Because you want to keep everyone alive, you want to kill the enemies in there, and you want to make sure that Killer Brimbor doesn't get killed before he cinematically gets killed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Some instances you can get away with fewer than the prescribed number and only make Pine Leaf go instead of
Oh well.
You know what my biggest pet peeve is?
What?
Because I'm a tank. I have a tank mentality. And for the most part, I'm not perfect, but for the most part, when I'm participating in team content, I'm hyper aware. I'm like the Terminator from Terminator 2. That was the friendly Terminator that was sent back. But what really gets me is when my team members aren't paying attention. However, these are also opportunities for me to shine. So when, let's say, I don't know, a hunter, we're sitting there things, and then suddenly an arrow flies out past my knee. So I know it's a hobbit that fired it right away. I absolutely understand where that arrow came from. And then that arrow goes over there, and I know what they were doing. They're trying to get their sandwich out of their pack, and somehow they fired their arrow into the boss group. But that's when I have the opportunity to shine because I typically can leap right into my tankness, and I can at least be the first one to die before the group wipes. So, having done my job, so I would say, and it's not even a big pet peeve, but it's when you get everybody assembled, you get these 12 people together like in a raid, you get everybody there, and then somebody has to take a break for some reason, and you're sitting there for the next 10 or 15 minutes twiddling your thumbs.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is
that's fair.
frustrating.
But that's not even a big deal too, because that's just the complication of dealing with a large group of people. You're basically hurting fantasy guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of the problem is the bigger the content, uh, the bigger the content in it, inevitably the harder it is in order to get a group together that's focused and all together. Is it like, mm, I'm
Then also
wondering
on the flip side of
how
that,
is the last time someone's done a Dragok run with 24 people?
yeah, but have you ever been on a Dragok run that went right too? That's a great feeling when you can do that run and you can do all the fellowship maneuvers appropriately and everything. Just to get the coordination down is great, though. That's a great feeling.
Can you imagine if they made it so that
I would
Dragok
love them to scale
scaled?
all of their content because you just think about. I would be curious about that because if they could scale all the content that they've made, you'd think that might be a renaissance with the game too. Maybe you'd bring a lot of people back in that regard. But who knows? Who knows? But
One
I
of,
totally agree.
one of the difficulties you have is that LOTRO is very, very much tied to a timeline. And I think they don't want to scale it like ESO, where you could jump back and forth in time constantly, like you could do in ESO. Where ESO probably not as critical the timeline is as it in LOTRO, even though they do have some events that happen in a certain order or whatever. Since it's their own world and not Middle Earth, they feel okay. Well, okay, if the players want to go and twist around time a little bit, that's their prerogative. In Lotro, I think they're trying to keep that sense of progression there of what's happening in the world and the like. And I know skirmishes throw that out the window, but that's an entirely different matter. I mean, especially okay, we're doing Kyle Skull happens 3,000, no, 5,000 years before before the rest of the book.
Yeah, but think of all the material you'd have. So
Yeah.
And I don't really have a pet peeve for running in a group.
Any other questions, Sans?
I think those were the questions for today.
All right. Then let's into our week in Lotro. Krister, what were you up to?
well, I was running Krister around trying to actually finish up some questing in Angmar, and made a little bit of progress there. So I'm very happy with myself. And unfortunately, this was end of month this week, so it was a pretty exciting week at work. And as a result, I didn't get to do too much, but I played a little bit of Subnautica too, and that was fun. Cinders, what were you up to?
I played some Civ 6 with friends and Civ 6 with my kid. And I played a lot of Banished because I can do it in the morning before I have to get ready for work. And so far, I'm like year 14, and the city is still surviving. And then also, real life happened. And there was a massive thunderstorm that knocked the power out to my house this last week and blew down like 4 trees at the golf course. It just like snapped them off at the trunk. And then there were like several houses that had huge, massive trees that blew over, and you could see their root systems sticking up in the air. So definitely high winds. And I didn't realize just how big of an issue this was going to be until the following night when I was sitting in my chair and all of a sudden I heard my sprinklers come on and I was like, those aren't supposed to be on right now. And then I looked out and I saw my apricot tree. Literally, the entire tree was going back and forth from side to side, trunk, everything. I was like, oh no, my apricot tree is going to snap off. And so I kind of dithered a little bit while I was talking to Sans. I was like, I have got to go try and save my tree. So, not thinking, oh, I should turn off the sprinklers first. I'm thinking they're still running on their program that they shouldn't be running it, because I was like, that's weird. I don't think I have the program to run right now. Whatever, I'm sure it'll be fine. Anyhow, so I go out there and I realize there's standing water in the raspberries. There's standing water by the apricot tree. So I'm out there with my string trying to tie it off. And then I took several hits from the sprinklers that I was trying to dodge. My slippers ended up soaked. They're still soaked. I was soaked. Panicking, trying to do this, and then the blackberries got involved, and every time I tried to untangle the stuff, the wind was whipping the blackberries into me. If you've ever been whipped by blackberry branches, it hurts. They've got thorns and it tears and it's painful. And I was very upset. And then it finally dawned on me that I could actually turn off the sprinklers. So I was like, okay. So I dropped everything I was doing and I ran over and I turned off the sprinklers, and that was when I realized that it had reset itself to 2013 and that it was 9:45 at night. So, my dad and I spent most of the time today staking out my apricot tree so that it's fine and is not going to fall over in the wind. And now, of course, the wind has stopped blowing. Anyways,
Temporarily.
It was quite the ordeal, but it now has 3 big metal stakes around it. It's tied off with wire and hose to keep it from rubbing on the tree and damaging the, cutting into it. So, hopefully I'll get some good apricots here in the next little bit. Sans, what were you up to this week?
This week, I drank from a keg in LOTRO and found the home of the 3 bears with 3 empty porridge bowls and 3 chairs by the fire and 3 beds and a sleeping golden-haired girl in one of the beds.
Now, Sans, is this you talking or the keg talking?
That's really hard to say. I was fairly out of it at the time. My whole screen was shaking and it was all fuzzy, but I waited until I was sober to double check the details here. And I walked outside and there was a little bear and 2 bigger bears and a little cute gnome, and then there were some walking herons and stuff in the area, which, not quite as cute, but
wait,
it's
how do you
what is that place outside of Stangard?
Outside of Stang?
I want to say.
So, Cinders, as with any travel into a fantasy realm, it first requires the use of a large keg.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
In this case, required it because I don't think I had found it before.
Well, that's why I'm I felt like I had been all over that place and had never seen anything like that.
I think I can find it again on the LOTRO map, but I don't remember what the name of the area was.
That wasn't one of the sites on that attempt we had it.
No, but it's in the same area as the rabbit cave. It's just in the other direction. Okay. So instead of going across the river, you go back towards the mountains where they form a little almost bowl. Anyway, it's in the middle of the forest south of Beacon Watch.
Oh yes, it's right. Yes, that's near Beacon Watch. That sounds like about the place because before you said Stangard and Stangard and Beacon Watch aren't near each other. So
Well, Rohan-ish.
okay, okay.
If I were on my hunter trying to get there, I would go to Stangard. And then I would probably discover that that was the wrong place, but that's where I would start my looking for it.
Okay. Okay.
It would definitely be the wrong place, though. Okay, so
Yeah,
it's in the East Fold. And the
Okay.
real hunter port that I would want to take would
So
be
I
Altberg.
googled it.
But I still would have started
Okay,
with Stangard.
So I googled it. This is kind of funny because I've got the AI overview. Do you guys want to
this
hear?
must be a real laugh.
Sure, but the last time the AI did not take us to the right place.
Okay, so it says the exact location is roughly 72.1 south, 58.5 west, which is about 600 meters southwest of Beacon Watch. So it sounds like it's right. And it's referencing Reddit as the place to find it. And then it describes 3 hostile bears are wandering the woods nearby. Stepping into the cabin reveals the classic fairy tale setup: 3 bowls of porridge on the table, 3 different sized chairs, and 3 beds. And a little girl, presumably the Goldilocks figure, is fast asleep in the smallest bed. And then there's a visual walkthrough added to it, right? And then it says, if you're planning a trip out there to check out the secret, let me know. What level in class is your character? Which fast travel routes or stable masters do you have unlocked nearby? I can help map out the safest route to travel so you don't get mauled by the bears.
Yeah, if you're in that area, you're not going to get mauled by the bears. They're like level 10. And the other things are like level 84. Though somebody else says it's in Westamnet.
Yeah.
So I might have been closer to right. I don't know.
LOTROplayers.com has an article called It's Small Things, done in December of 2013, and says it is Eastfold, south of Beacon Watch. So, damn.
Just doesn't look right.
Who
But
wrote
that's
that
probable.
article? It doesn't say. Okay. All right. So
Anyway, I did that. And then, wherever I was, it was a little house in the middle of the woods. And then I went roving threat hunting with Gorindas and some Kinnies. Well, Gorindas twice and some Kinnies once. With Gorindas as well. And I have hunted the roving threats of the North Downs and the Misty Mountains twice this week. Well, the North Downs at least twice this week. And the Misty Mountains. And Fork Hell. And it was fun. And I discovered that there's a roving threat deed beyond advanced. And I'm working on it and still have like 290 some roving threats to kill. But it was a lot of fun.
At least, does the new one at least say final?
It does say final.
Okay.
So it should be the last one. But I was like, oh yeah, I'm on the advanced deed. I've only got like 3 more roving threats to kill. No, there's like a final deed after that. But that's awesome, because now there's more reason to go roving threat hunting. So that was my week in LOTRO. How was your week, Pineleaf?
In the field trip, the Merry crew ran some skirmishes to prepare for Arid Mithrin. We had a player that still needed to reach the minimum level in order to take the quest in order to go there. We managed to succeed in doing that. And afterwards, I did run some missions, and I'm trying to get closer to the level. I'm hoping to hit 116. That way I can be eligible to use all of the legendary item stuff that is now dropping in that area and is being given as quest rewards and all that stuff. And I don't like them just sitting in my inventory, so it'd be nice if I could actually switch over and use the new LI gear in order to work with that. And it for my week in LOTRO. If you have any feedback for us, you could send it to podcast@LotraPlayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We have Lotra Players News and re-record DDO Players News when Drac is available. You just join for our shows at LotraPlayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight then. This is Finding Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.